Humanity has been shown to have an incredible creativity when it comes to dealing death. These are 10 unbelievable historical weapons. Number 1. Greek fire was a substance that the Eastern Roman Empire would spray at their enemies to set them on fire. It was expelled through a tube mounted on their ships, and this was basically the flamethrower of the 7th century. Greek fire would stick to surfaces, and it could not be doused by water, making it a very dangerous weapon during naval combat. With these properties, Greek fire seemed eerily similar to the napalm used during the Vietnam War. And yet Greek fire had existed more than 1,000 years earlier. The substance was so destructive that the Eastern Roman Empire kept its recipe a secret. The true ingredients to Greek fire remain a mystery, even to this day. Number 2. The Apache Revolver was the Swiss Army knife of deadly weapons. It was a foldable 3-in-1 weapon that originated in Belgium during the 1800s. It featured a knife blade, a revolver pistol, and brass knuckles. The weapon could be folded or unfolded to make use of any of these deadly features. The Apache Revolver was a favorite of the Les Apaches underworld gang of France. Number 3. The Kiss of Death was a pistol used by the KGB during the Cold War. It held a single shot, and the pistol was disguised in the shape of a lipstick tube. The weapon also appeared in the PlayStation 2 video game Metal Gear Solid 3, and it was used by the character Eva. Number 4. Henry VIII was an English king known for his 6 wives and for separating the Roman Catholic Church from the Church of England. But one of the most interesting artifacts he left behind was a peculiar weapon known as Henry VIII's walking stick. This weapon was a staff with a built-in 3-barrel matchlock pistol, and on the head of the staff was a spiked club. It was a nasty weapon, able to deal blunt trauma, puncture the skin, and fire bullets. King Henry even had his guards carrying shields with built-in pistols. Number 5. The chakram was a weapon favored by the Sikh military of India during the 16th century. It was a steel ring with a sharp outer edge. The chakram came in various sizes, and it was commonly used by spinning the ring around the finger and then flinging it at enemies. The weapon had a long range of 40 to 50 meters. When not in use, the chakram could be worn on the Sikh turban or around the arms as though they were bracelets. The Portuguese writer and officer Duarte Barbosa wrote that when the chakram were thrown, they were capable of cutting off the heads and limbs of victims. Number 6. Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night was much scarier than it sounds. During World War II, the Japanese planned to attack San Diego, California, using disease-infected fleas. These fleas would be carrying various diseases, including the bubonic plague and smallpox. Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night intended for Japanese submarines to emerge near San Diego and release balloons carrying the infected fleas. The spread of these fleas and the resulting diseases could have possibly killed tens of thousands of people. However, the mission was never carried out. The Japanese surrendered only a month before the mission was planned to take place. Number 7. In 198 AD, Roman troops besieged the city of Hatra in modern-day Iraq. The inhabitants of Hatra found a unique way to defend their city. They filled clay jars with poisonous scorpions, and they threw these jars at the Roman invaders. As the Romans climbed the walls of Hatra, they were showered with deadly scorpions. Additionally, during their trek through the desert, many Romans suffered from the heat and many died due to sickness. The Romans eventually gave up the siege and returned home. Number 8. The kusarigama was a scythe with an attached chain that had an iron weight on the end of it. It was a weapon used by Japanese samurai. The chain of the kusarigama was swung to build momentum and then flung at the enemy so that it could trap their weapon or their arm or leg. The sickle blade of the kusarigama could then be used to cut down the opponent while he is at a disadvantage. In addition, the user could swing the chain at their enemy and simply hit them with the heavy iron weight. The kusarigama was the weapon that almost killed the legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi. A man who survived and won all of the 60 duels that he fought. During one fight, a samurai named Shishido managed to trap Musashi's sword with the chain of his kusarigama. Shishido moved in to strike with the sickle blade while Musashi's main sword was trapped. But then Musashi unsheathed his short sword, which was strapped to his side. He threw the sword at his opponent as though it were a shuriken. The sword punctured Shishido's chest, and he died. Number 9. In 1925, King Tut's dagger was excavated from his tomb. Despite being 3,300 years old, this weapon was not even rusted. Researchers who examined the blade in 2016 made a startling discovery. King Tut's dagger was crafted out of a meteorite. When inspected, the blade was shown to have levels of nickel and cobalt similar to a meteorite named Karga, which was also found in Egypt. Researchers believe that the Egyptians highly valued objects that fell from the sky, and even considered them to be gifts from the gods. The only two valuable iron artifacts from Egypt so far accurately analyzed are of meteoric origin, the research team wrote. In Egyptian writings, these meteorites were even referred to as metal from the heavens. Number 10. The bat bomb was a World War II weapon dreamed up by a Pennsylvanian dentist named Lytle S. Adams. It was a container filled with thousands of free-tailed bats, each of which had a small incendiary bomb attached to it. The weapon was intended to work like this. When the bomb was dropped, a parachute would deploy and the bats would be released. The bats would fly for miles from the drop point and would hide in hard-to-reach places in cities and buildings. When the timed incendiary bombs detonated, thousands of fires would break out miles from the drop point. During World War II, many Japanese buildings were made out of paper or wood, and they would be ravaged in the fire. According to Adams, there would be a small loss of life, but a devastating loss to the country's infrastructure. Testing of the bat bomb showed its destructive capabilities. In testing, the bat bomb was able to level an entire simulated village. Nevertheless, the project was passed on to the Navy, who canceled it when it was decided that the weapon would not be battle-ready until mid-1945. Adams, however, maintains that his invention could have ended the war. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe so that you'll be notified when the next video comes out. Thank you again for watching, and have a nice day.